Okay. What are all those things? I don't know. Maybe this is okay. Alrighty. Ah, I'm gonna just bring these a little bit closer. No, I'm up here. Yeah, no, things are a bit crazy at the moment. So I do have the house to myself for now, but we've started keeping Mikey at home. That's my disabled brother. We're not letting him take public transport or like go to very busy places. So he's been spending a lot more time at home this week. Yesterday he only briefly went out like to the zoo or something, but they closed a lot of stuff, so they came back and then hanging around the house. And so today, this morning, Mikey was just sort of hanging around the house. And then now they've gone to do train watching and find somewhere to have some lunch, but I don't know what time they're coming back. And yeah, I mean, like they could come back now and I don't know. So I'm in this room, not my usual space, and you know, I'm keeping the door open just so I can hear if they're coming, but then, and I might have to rush downstairs for a bit. But yeah, if they do come back early, I'll just like rush down, say hello and let them in and all that, and then come back up here and close the door and we can keep streaming. So I hope that's okay. It's just like, it's a bit of disruption because things are getting crazy, aren't they? Also, Mikey, like being disabled, he's, you know, got his, I don't know what his immune system's really like compared to the rest of us, but there's sort of that concern that if he gets sick, it might not be so great. Hello! Yeah, just explaining the change of scenery, you know, the whole virus thing. Oh, let me just check that I set everything up properly. A bit of a rush. Yeah, there you go. It's been a bit of a rush today. Oh, why isn't it showing the thing now? No, it's decided. Wow, okay, YouTube, whatever you want to do. Yeah, no, oh, this morning, so like I was doing my work from home job, and then I doing some singing practice, and then yeah, had some quick lunch and rushed up here. Is the coronavirus bad out there in Australia? So like the official numbers aren't too bad here, but they are starting to crack down and cancelling a lot of events. So anything over 500 people has been cancelled, which I'm like, 499 people is still a lot. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they start cracking down a bit more. I know a lot of companies are already thinking, like, how do we do this? Hello, good to see you survive the first wave of the Mad Max apocalypse. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I was in a rush, so, like, I'm still drinking my tea, so I hope you don't mind if I just have a sip every now and then. Because, yeah, no, busy morning, especially trying to get some singing practice in. And then what I had to send a shopping list to my brother, my other brother, because yeah, we're sort of just popping into the shops to see what we can get whenever, because there are a few things we need, and people here are still shopping like crazy for all the kinds of things. We're okay for toilet paper though, and we have backup options because one of the things about Mikey being disabled, we already bulk buy like a lot of wipes and stuff. Sibily wanted to your stream. Yeah, I just like, I don't want you guys to sort of get bored if I pause for too long and all that. I'm probably gonna get distracted anyway. Sometimes I get distracted doing something and then forget about my tea. But yeah, no. So I guess you guys probably missed the very start of this. The reason I'm up here is because we are keeping my disabled brother home. Because his immune system, I think, is not quite as good as the rest of us. And yeah, so no public transport and no crowded places, and the carers are also keeping him at home a lot more. They've gone out today, but when they get back, I probably will have to rush downstairs just to open the door, let them in, and then yeah, I'll come back up here, close the door, and then we can keep streaming for a bit. But I didn't bring my charger up here, and I'd have to find an extension cord, so when this battery is starting to get low, I probably will have to go. And I've got other things to do. I might actually pop up to the shops myself because I need to get something from the chemist. It's not urgent, but you know, with everyone going crazy, I feel like I should try and get on top of some of that stuff. Maybe I will pop into the supermarket. We were considering stocking up on like, this is me and my other brother. We were like, maybe we should like buy all the Pop-Tarts we can find. Pop-Tarts are hard to find in Australia as it is, but like maybe we could buy them all and then we could stack them up and be like to the parents, hey, we're all set for the apocalypse. But no, Dave actually found some Pop-Tarts last week, and so I've been living in a state of regret. Hey, I'm at work, so I'll try to listen to the stream. Okay, no worries. Like, you do what you gotta do, because with all this craziness going on, we don't know when work will stop. Like, I think people who can work from home are trying to. I know my company has been doing that. I already work from home though, but they're trying to like rotate people between the office and working at home. Um, but yeah, like, I mean, the business that I'm working for, they rely on other people to be doing business, and if those guys stop doing business, it's going to slow down for everyone. So be interesting to see. So if you are working now, make the most of it, because yeah, we don't know when things will have to change. Oh my God, Sydney's weather has been so crazy. Like, it's actually easy to stay home. I mean, for me, I don't go out very much anyway. But we suddenly got heaps of winter weather, and it's only March, and I'm just like, I'm so upset they cancelled a con this weekend and postponed and cancelled concert. And yeah, no, everything's been cancelled here as well, which doesn't affect me because I wasn't going to go anywhere. But yeah, it's kind of getting crazy. I mean, for the vast majority of us, we still don't really have much to worry about. It's just, as I said last time, the people who are sick, elderly, people with weakened immune systems, like my younger brother, the one with the disabilities. So yeah, but the rest of us should be okay. So like, don't panic. Is that them back? I might have to let them in. I can hear Hope woofing. Or I'm also waiting for a delivery for some pet food. I don't know why everyone is freaking out. The flu's worse. Statistically, I don't think the flu is worse. But like at the moment, the flu kills more people overall. But I think that's because it's more widespread. If this virus spreads, it has the potential to kill more people. Is someone actually home? I don't know. I think at the moment what they're worried about is a lot of places they're figuring out don't have the medical resources for the people who will be severely affected. And if you can't treat those people, then they're less likely to survive. So when you look at like death rates, it's kind of variable. It depends on like how bad it is where you are. It depends on how good your health system is, and then like your personal, age and all that kind of stuff. So many people believe in heaven. Why are they so afraid to die? Well, I mean, like, most ways of dying are painful. So for me, it's more like having to go through the pain side of thing. But yeah, no, the religion thing's an interesting question. And if God made everything, then he made this virus too. So that's a fun thing too. Yeah, no. I mean, most of us don't have to worry, but there are the people in society. I think that's like, I mean, if you're trying to be a good human being, morphine, can't just give morphine to everyone. Yeah, no, I think that's what governments, they're trying to do good by the most people, and that's why everything's being shut down, is to protect the people who will die. And so if I'm trying to be a decent human being, then yeah, probably should shut everything down. But if we are going to do that method, I feel like in Australia we should be cracking down harder. Like we did well in the beginning, getting people into quarantine on the refugee islands and that mining camp up in Darwin. Oh my God, fucking hay fever. I know, don't touch your face, and I'm all like, hang on, there's a tissue there. Oh, bloody hell. Oh man. I'm gonna have a sip of my tea too. What? I can't lie. I'm upset. Trump doesn't have it. I didn't see that. All I saw is like him saying that he got his temperature checked when he walked in the room. They didn't play the rest of whatever the clip was. And I kind of don't really care. I don't know. I mean, just because he doesn't have it now doesn't mean he won't get it later. Like, that's one of the things about testing. Like, you get tested once, but you can always catch it later. So, yeah. And there's only so much testing they can do, depending on where you are. Yeah, no, I feel like Australia, we started off well quarantining people who we were trying to fly back from China, and we had the various places where we quarantined them. But now that it's like properly in the country, I mean, the official numbers for Australia, I think, is like 300 and something. But that's the cases that they know. And I think I said last time, like, there's heaps more people who already have the virus out in the community. And it's just like, why are we not talking about that? So, the government's like, yeah, don't go do anything in groups of 500. So all these concerts and things, sporting events cancelled, or like they're going to be playing without an audience, which is a bit eerie. Um, but we're still letting people go on public transport and going to schools and so on. And like I understand why they don't want to shut down schools, because they don't want like doctors to have to stay home and look after their kids. They don't want grandparents to be in charge of looking after the kids because they're more susceptible, and all that kind of stuff. But like there are ways to do it. Like if you have your older kids, for example, the ones in high school, most of them can look after themselves at home. Um, Stick them in front of Netflix, video game, maybe some online learning. There you go. There's all your older kids at home. Then you've only got like the primary school kids and maybe some of the younger high school ones. And so any parents who can work from home or can keep them like, can make arrangements, you get them to stay home. And then you just leave the kids who can't look after themselves and don't have anyone to look after them, and you leave those ones at school, and there you go. Suddenly you've got less people at school. Like you kind of have, in my view, the best of both worlds. You're keeping as many people home as possible without interrupting the lives of the people who we need to work at hospitals and who have things like, who can't make arrangements for the younger kids who can't look after themselves. And then at schools, you could actually maybe space out the kids instead of having, 30 kids per class and trying to get them to not touch each other and not cough on each other. Yeah, good luck. But yeah, no, I think at some point more schools will close. The only time they're shutting down schools in Australia is if like someone at the school gets it. And then I think they only shut it down for a short period of time, although it varies depending on which school and whatever. But yeah, no, I feel like now that the government's decided, okay, we're going to crack down, I feel like we should go hard rather than this sort of gradual thing. Because if you do it gradually, like, I get that they're looking at the numbers and they're like, oh, it's not too bad yet. Maybe we don't need to do anything too crazy. But it is going to get worse. Like you're not going to stop the numbers by doing a half-assed attempt. And the numbers that we have, that's not the true number of cases. That's just the people who've gotten tested and come back positive. We don't know who else is out in the community. And then what was it, the WHO guy, or I don't know, someone on the TV was still talking about contact tracing, like, ooh, we need to find out who this person's been in contact with and then find who they've all been in contact with. I'm like, there's too many people for that now. And if we wait too long, like, it's just going to spread. And they talk about the flattening the curve thing. I don't know if you guys have seen that graph where it's like, here's the number of people we can treat. If we don't do anything, the cases will spike and like all these people won't be able to be treated. Whereas if we can limit how many people get the virus, then we can have like a smaller curve and we can actually treat everyone. It'll go longer. So there'll be, I suppose, more economic disruption, but you might actually be able to treat more of the people and save more lives. Whereas if you did nothing, you'd get a lot of cases and it wouldn't last as long, but you'd have a lot more people dying. So the governments have well and truly decided they want to flatten the curve, but in that case, let's just do it like, crack down now and get it over with, instead of like letting it, like, business as usual, big thing. Cracking down, this thing. And then what Australia's doing, going a bit slowly, like maybe a little bit over, I don't know. It's hard to predict, but here's a little thing. But economies are basically pyramid schemes and governments want people to keep preying out offsprings. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, the planet can't support these populations and so on. And so, like, I've heard those arguments, but oh my god, this bloody hay fever. Every damn day. No, I mean, like, it depends on what view you want to take. If you want to just be, like, brutal, maybe you do nothing and just, like, let the people die and then get it over with. but I don't think that's how most people think, and I don't think that's how the world wants. At least, like, I don't think politicians want it to look like they're doing nothing. Um, I don't know. I think most people get into politics because they care, and then they sort of get messed up as they go through the game. But yeah, I don't know. Um, it's sort of a tricky thing, but I think what the governments are doing, like, it's the right track. It's just like, if you actually want to stop this disease, you need to crack down. We probably need to do more like China. Like, once China actually got their act together and shut down, it seemed to slow down the cases. Um, Obviously it takes a while because it takes a while for symptoms to show. But it seems like now they're doing okay. I mean, pretty soon, man, food will be people. Oh my god. Um, no, actually, like the population of the Earth is a different discussion. Because like as people get wealthier, they tend to have less kids. So that's why you see population growth slowing down in like, like Japan is actually has one of those reversing population kinds of things. They're in a bit of trouble because people aren't having kids and they don't like immigration. Um, so that's a like they've got the opposite problem. Um, so if you want to slow down population growth, you just make people wealthier and then they have less kids. Especially if there's good healthcare, then the kids don't die and you don't need a spare kid. What was that? Drink coffee? No, I don't drink coffee. This is tea. I don't know. I just don't like the smell or taste of coffee. I prefer tea. This is Lady Grey tea because that's me, or that's what I thought when I was a kid. Oh, what's that? That's why their economy is in so much jeopardy. Oh, the Japanese economy, yeah, they've been struggling for a while. I think all our economies are a bit fucked at the moment because you know, for it, like with the prioritization of health, we've shut down a lot of economic activity, and of course, people are panicking. Coffee makes me lightheaded. Wow, my reading skills are a bit shit at the moment. Yeah, I know some people who drink a bit too much coffee, and sometimes it's a bit funny. There was a guy at uni who had too much one day, and he was like hyperactive. It was nuts. Hmm. Seems like no one actually came home. I've been listening, but maybe it was just Hope's pet food coming. I just bought a bunch of stuff. Um, it's due to come today. But anyway, yeah, I don't know when Mikey's gonna turn up. Um, but so if we're keeping Mikey home a lot more, that's gonna make it a little bit tricky. No such thing as too much coffee. Oh, I have seen people who've had too much coffee. There is such a thing as too much coffee. There's like too much of anything, to be honest, can kill you. Gotta get back to a heavy rate. Okay, no worries. Like, stay safe and all that. Wash your hands. Anyway, yeah. No, with Mikey being home more, my disabled brother, um, I mean, he doesn't like being home all the time, so they will have to go out, like, maybe to the oval, kick a ball or something. But he'll be home a lot more. And then I think my dad will probably end up having to work from home as well. And then, I don't know. Oh dear. Well, hey, you never know, right? Um, yeah, and then what? Mum's work. She doesn't work as much. Coffee makes you aggressive. Everything in moderation. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, with everyone, like, there's a potential for everyone to stay home. My older brother's a teacher. If they shut down schools, he might be home as well. So in terms of YouTube, this is where my like, at the beginning of the year, I was like, here, hey guys, I have all these goals. Please vote on them. And now it's sort of all gone a bit to shit. I'm gonna have to figure out what exactly to do because usually I film when no one's in the house, and I'm like, if people are going to be in the house all the time, what do I do? So obviously, Punk Rave Australia is still going to send me stuff. And then, once I finish editing the other stuff I filmed last year, then I want to do more stuff. But I think the one that I'm not going to be able to do is probably those covers. More cover songs. I do have one filmed. It's coming. It's so hard for me to concentrate lately. I think I've been a little bit too internet addicted, and then just like things going on in life. We finally have a working dishwasher again. Uh, Finally, we just said fuck off to Asco. You know, they were hopeless, like just constantly trying to order parts that were gonna like take like 2 weeks and all this kind of shit. And my parents are just like, nah, we're just gonna buy a new one from a different company. They came within the same week, installed it really fast. So now we have a Miele dishwasher. The cutlery thing is a little bit weird. I'm not 100% sold on that, but it works. It has real buttons. So yay, dishwasher. And the guys were really nice. They were really nice to the dogs too, which you don't always know what tradies are how they're gonna react. In Australia, dogs don't really have rabies. I think we've managed to quarantine that out of the country. So dogs in Australia tend to be a bit safer. I know everything here is dangerous, but not our dogs. Not really. Not in the rabies sense. Like, you know, they're fine. So I think people here trust dogs a bit more. Who's the most useless one in your family? Probably me. I mean, like, you know, Mikey's disabled, so that doesn't really count, right? That would, you know, what can he do? Um, I've been getting him to put his cups and plates in the dishwasher, but Mum especially is too, like, you know. Like, oh, don't worry, I'll do that for you. You know, like the mum kind of thing, looking after him. And I'm like, Mum, you have to tell him to do stuff. He has to learn some level of independence at some point. So I'm bossy. I'm like, no, Mike, go and put your stuff in the in the sink, not the dishwasher. I don't think we trust him to do the dishwasher, although he tries sometimes. Yeah, I'm good at shouting at him for that. I'm also good at Googling stuff when that's probably the main reason my parents keep me around. Apologize if that was rude. No, I think it's funny. It's hard to say. I mean, I would say my other brother is probably the most useful because he does a lot of stuff. He's a really kind, caring kind of person. I guess that's why he's a teacher, and he's also worked in disability. Like for me, I'm like, I have a disabled brother. That's enough disability work for me. I couldn't do that. But no, he's in like the caring professions and all that. And he knows how to do stuff, whereas I'm kind of domestically incompetent. Although I have been put in charge of reading the dishwasher manual, so I should probably read more of that. But then also, he's very fit, so like if we need a tree, you know, trimmed a bit, as long as it's not like an extreme job we have to get professionals in. For everything else, he can like trim all the trees and whatever, because he's strong and whatever, you know. So he's probably the most useful, I would say, and I would say maybe I'm the least useful. Because, you know, I'm a stay-at-home bum. I can Google stuff, I can fix things. Like one time the air conditioner downstairs wasn't working. I think it was after a blackout, and so I just had to reset something in the power box, like the fuse or something, and it was fine. But yeah, otherwise, what do I do? I sit on YouTube making videos. That is gonna get a little bit crazy, I think. Trying to make more YouTube videos. Yeah, no one wants to hear my family all singing together. Grey family gatherings are yeah, a little bit rough if you know, if everyone's singing happy birthday and you have some level of music training and you're just like, oh my god. So I just growl it now. Fuck it. You know, the growling doesn't really have a pitch. It has a sort of perceived like high or low, but it's not a real pitch. So if I just growl along, it doesn't matter that everyone's out of tune. No, so yeah, usually I like to do, when I turn on my proper microphone, it probably doesn't make that much difference, but if there's people like yelling in the background, especially Mikey, he communicates in yells a lot of the time, so if I try and record covers, you're gonna get a little bit of noise, and I don't know if I can edit it all out. How many trolls will survive this apocalypse? I don't know. I think there'll be some people who'll probably do silly things, and they might get sick and stuff. There might be people who don't take it seriously and don't go to the hospital when they should. But most people are going to be fine, so it's really just older and sick people and whatever. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of how I do videos. So I guess I can do some videos up here, although this is this is actually Dad's work from home space, so if he's working from home, I can't film here. Um, could maybe try in the next room, but I feel weird if I'm like right next to a room where someone can sort of hear me doing the hi guys, because like obviously the YouTube's weird because the way you talk to the camera is not really how you would talk in real life. I think if I'm talking to hey, hello, welcome. I think if I'm talking to someone in real life and I get on a roll, then I do have more of that sort of YouTube voice because, like, when you're on YouTube, you're sort of just ranting to the thin air. And a live streaming, you get some feedback, but if you're just filming the video, you're kind of just talking for ages. So if I get on a real roll, and I'm talking to someone in real life who doesn't really interrupt, I guess I can sound a bit more like YouTube. But there's things like, you know, the Punk Rave Australia videos when I'm all like, hi guys, da 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 da. That feels a bit less natural. But you know, I have to cover a certain number of things in those videos, so it's just easier that way. And I do feel a bit awkward. How happy is the country of Australia? Oh, we're pretty chill. I mean, that's one of the things about the virus, right? Because Aussies are all like, she'll be right, mate. So, I think the government's a little bit worried that we won't take it seriously because we're all like, you know, things will work out. I think like a lot of people are taking things seriously, but there is that sort of group of people who are just like, shit happens, whatever. But yeah, no, it kind of depends also what part of Australia because you know, there's the overall culture, but then there's also like Queensland culture and Melbourne culture. Melbourne is very different. Um, yeah, Queensland's where people like Pauline Hanson come from, and people are freaking out about the virus. Here in the States, they're acting like it's the apocalypse. Yeah, I would say that if you're in America, you probably have more reason to be concerned than if you're in Australia, because it sounds like for the population that America has, the healthcare might not be up to scratch to be able to support like the number of people who could get infected and actually need help. Whereas Australia, I think our health system is a bit more steady and like our population is so much less, like same land mass almost, but like less than 10% of the population of America. And yeah, our health system I think will be okay. We have a public system and a private system, and because it's sort of an emergency, they are bringing the private system in to help the public system. From the sounds of things, I haven't kept 100% up to speed. I'm a little bit in the she'll be right mate kind of category, although with my younger brother being disabled, you know, I do have to start thinking, yeah, I guess I need to make sure I stay healthy because I don't want to pass it on to him because he will struggle probably. When he gets sick, he kind of just goes to bed for ages, and yeah, there was one time we had to take him to hospital when he got sick. I think it was like some kind of food poisoning, and he was there for quite a while. And then we brought him home, and then he had to go back again because he started getting sick again. Yeah, but usually he just goes to bed. Personally, I'm in Michigan, and they're freaking out over here when they shouldn't be. We had one case and it's been cured. Yeah, I do wish they'd talk more about the people who've recovered. I think out of all the total cases, half of the people have made a full recovery. But yeah, no. The thing about the cases, like they say there's one case where you are, but that's the only one that they know about. You know, we don't know for sure who's passed what on to who. And you can do the whole contact tracing thing, but there's limits to how useful that is because you just don't really know. Like it's not like it's not as simple as they make it sound. So yeah, and then I don't know. I think America acted a bit slowly too, and I think Australia is starting to drop the ball a bit. I mean, of course, they're all talking to each other, all the governments, but I think if we're going to crack down, we should crack down hard instead of this half-assed. You know, oh, don't gather in 500. 499 people, it's still a lot. And then, you know, people crammed onto buses and trains and whatever. Although I did see a friend posted on Facebook, and usually their train is really crowded, and today it wasn't, and so they're like, yes! Yeah, so people are changing their behavior. I think companies are maybe getting on top of this sooner because, you know, they don't want people to get sick. And so the companies that can have people working from home do seem to be getting on top of that. At least from what I've seen. I don't know about everyone, and some companies, some things you can't do, like, my bonsai job I can't do from home. I can work on my own bonsai, but I can't do that for my boss from here. So actually, I've got to get in touch with him towards the end of the week and just find out, because I'm going to help out with a class. So where I work for bonsai, they do classes. That's actually how I got started. Is I took some classes with them. Back in high school. It was a long time ago. But yeah, so my boss needs an assistant for a class, and he's like, couldn't find anyone. He's like, do you want to do it? Okay, never done it before, but I'll give it a go. I think I'd be helping out the beginners, so like after they've done the presentation, then I come in and, like, if they have questions, help out with some of the basic questions while he helps some of the more advanced people. Because yeah, my other sensei, I think, is doing ikebane classes instead, and yeah, so usually they'd work as a pair. But with all the, like, everything's changing so fast at the moment, so the government could crack down like any moment now. So yeah, I need to ask towards the end of the week, I think, is the class still going ahead, and whether they still need me. And then what to do about my actual job. Because, should I stay home? Then again, it's usually just the two of us working and the occasional customer. It's not really like, the thing about bonsai is, like, people will bring their trees to be cared for, and then they don't need too much. About your brother being disabled, I'm too. I have autism, Asperger's. And then that's gonna make my immune system weak. I already have a head cold, which is, I'm so paranoid thinking I had this. My mom's like, you're fine, it's just a head cold. And she's right. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I've got hay fever. Every day for, I don't know how long. I probably had sniffles and stuff, like, every day for a year. I don't know. It's worse in the morning. I just wake up and start sneezing, but then I sort of sniffle throughout the day, and it's just a thing. Personally, I'm going to be okay because I never go out. Yeah, I don't go out. I'm a troll. Okay. Yeah, no, I just stay home most of the time. I don't really have anywhere to go. Like, mostly I just go to my bonsai job. I don't even go to gigs that often anymore. Appointments. Yeah, I stay home a lot. I managed not to get sick at all last year. I think there were a few days where I felt a bit off, and maybe, like, I went to bed for, during the day and just sort of slept it off, but then the next day I'd be fine. And actually earlier, maybe a week or two ago, I was feeling like, when you are getting sick and you can sort of feel it on your breath, like there's, like, you're breathing sickness. I had that for one day. Next day, totally fine. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, maybe I am catching little viruses and they're just not having much impact on me. Can you do a cartwheel? I used to be able to do a cartwheel. I haven't tried in a long time. There's no space here, unfortunately, though, so I'm not going to attempt it. No, I used to do gymnastics and stuff when I was really, really little. But it's been a long time. And, yeah, no. I really should do more physical activity. But, exactly what I mean when I'm getting sick and smell pneumonia through my nose. Yeah, like, it's just sort of like your breath feels kind of, like, heavy and all that kind of stuff. And, I don't know, it feels like English doesn't really have a good word to describe it. But it just feels like breathing sickness. Yeah, so I had that a week or two ago. Yeah. One of the things about Australia, one of the things we have going for us is it's not flu season. So I know a lot of you guys in the Northern Hemisphere have flu. And if you catch coronavirus and flu at the same time, apparently that's a pretty bad combination. So actually, for those of us who are mostly healthy and young and all that, yeah, try not to catch the flu. I get the flu shot every year. I don't remember when I started doing that, but I do get it. It's not available in Australia yet because it's nowhere near flu season. I imagine there'll be a lot of demand though, because this is going to drag on for a while. Yeah, no, that's something we've got going for us. Although, like, sort of, we have this sudden winter, like, I've been wearing my UGG boots and my Hunten, It's like a tingle in your mouth and on your tongue. It's like numbness. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, well, yeah. But
Don't touch your face, they say.
But, I'm at home. There's nothing else going on here. But yeah, no, I had to wear hunter, and yesterday I was also wearing a jumper because it was fucking freezing in Sydney in March. 2 years ago, it was still like high 30s all the way through till April. This year, I mean, summer was kind of tame. That might be because of all the bushfires, with all the smoke maybe blocking up the sun. I don't know if it's how it works. But I feel like people disagree with me, but I feel like this summer was more tame in terms of temperature. And then February was just floods, heaps of rain. And then now it's March and it's like winter. Like, was it yesterday or the day before? It didn't even get above 20 degrees. And I'm just like, that is not March weather. What the fuck? So, it's not flu season, but we're starting to get flu season weather already. And a bit like, don't know how I feel about this. Like, I prefer colder weather to hot weather because in hot weather, there's only so many clothes you can take off. And then what do? Hopefully have an air conditioner because, like, even if you run under the hose naked, that's not going to cool you down enough, when it's getting into the 40s. In winter, at least you can put layers on. But what annoys me is how fast this cold weather came on. I think towards the end of the week, it's supposed to warm up again. Friday, we'll get into the low 30s. But yeah, I think that might be why I'm sniffling more because like the sudden change in temperature and my nose can't handle it. You should come to Michigan for something called Indian summer. It's the dead of winter right here. It feels like it's already spring. Oh, I went to LA ages ago. When was that? It would have been in November. Is Thanksgiving in November? Because I think we flew back and like we got on the plane the day before Thanksgiving, and then because of like the way that dates work and time zones and whatever, by the time we got back to Sydney, it was the day after Thanksgiving, which is kind of fun. But yeah, no. So after I finished high school, we went to LA, and November is like sort of what is that late autumn, early winter kind of thing. I don't know. And gosh, it was quite comfortable temperature. Uh, does LA even experience winter? What was that? Thought I heard a noise. No, LA seems a bit like Australia, where like I complain about the cold weather, but to be honest, 20 degrees maximums in winter is not that bad, especially because like minimums rarely go into single digits. When I was uh, in Japan winter, like the maximum temperature was 16, and it'd get below zero at night. So Australia, Sydney at least doesn't really have like a real winter, and I feel like LA was kind of the same. Although like we weren't in the middle of winter, but yeah, and that was weird. Like I think it was like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm like, what even is that? I don't know in Celsius. But yeah, no, it was quite comfortable in LA, even like that close to winter. The weirdest thing about LA for me though was walking on the beach because in Australia, if you don't put sun cream on and you walk around on the beach for a long time, you are going to get burned. Um, and we went to the beach one day and like I hadn't prepared, so I hadn't put any sun cream on, and I was super paranoid because I got really badly sunburned as a kid, and I guess I've been paranoid about that ever since. It's probably why I'm pale because I'm like suspicious of the sun. But yeah, no, in LA, walking along the beach, and the sun didn't even feel hot. I don't know if that I don't know how to explain it, but like when you go out into the sun in Australia, like it actually feels hot. The sun actually feels hot. But in LA, it felt like there was no sun. It felt a bit like if you're in a big room with some lights and you can't really feel the lights kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. It was just like, yeah, the sun in LA was weird. And I didn't get burned. Even though I had no sun cream, I didn't get burned. So how about that? That's the thing, since you're in Australia, do you get snow? Even on the access point, I thought Australia was a little bit more warmer. It's rare for snow. Yeah, snow only happens in a few places. So like we have the creatively named snowy mountains. we're very good at naming things. We either name something after, you know, an Aboriginal landmark or something, or we come up with names like the Snowy Mountains. I think there's maybe a mountain in like Victoria that maybe gets snow as well. I don't know. Sometimes the Blue Mountains, which are closer to Sydney, get a little bit of snow, but it's not enough to like ski on or anything. It's just like, hey, what do you know? It's snowing. Sydney has had snow, but it was before I was born, I'm sure. A long, long time ago. I am kind of like, you know, why doesn't it just snow? Like snowing in March, that would be amusing because, you know, we've had fires, we've had floods, now it's like early winter all of a sudden. It's like that Monty Python thing, you know, where spring turned into summer turned into winter gave spring and summer a miss and went straight into autumn. It's like that's how our seasons are at the moment. Yeah, no, I'm kind of like, you know, fuck it. 2020 has been absolutely insane. Why doesn't it just snow? You know, kind of keep screwing with us. 2020 has been super weird. Like, I know for the world it's been super weird, but also for me it's been super weird. Did I read out that list last time of all the crap that's happened? We can add to that. My fucking shower started leaking. I mean, it sort of had a drip for a while, but it started leaking properly, and so I was trying to put buckets under it, and caught so much water. All the buckets are full. I'm gonna have to take them out at some point. What was that noise? Oh, is someone home? I might have to just run down and open the door if they're home. Marley's not woofing though. But yeah, so the shower was leaking and then we had to get the plumber in. Luckily he came like the next day. But yeah, no, more things to add to the list. I think there were some other things. But they're on the computer downstairs. I'd have to have a look. Let me finish my tea. Oh, yeah, no, it's been a crazy sort of year. I guess like, you know, having Mikey home more is another thing that's gone wrong because of the virus. So, you know, that's why I keep pausing because I'm trying to hear if he's come home. I will keep streaming. It's just like I've got to let them in if they come back. The weather is starting to look a bit crap again. I was hoping to take Hope for a walk. Hope's my little dog. But yeah, no, it was nice and sunny before, but now it's kind of not. Yeah, Monty Python. There's some great quotes there. I wonder if... Oh, I think there's a house nearby doing some renovations, and that's why I keep hearing things go off. So, yeah. Wow. I think they're putting in a pool and maybe doing like another story on their house or something. It's quite noisy actually. I guess I don't notice it when I'm in my room because my room's kind of like in the middle of the house. Oh, I hope he's woofing again. Woof, woof, woof. I'm waiting for the big dog to start woofing, because if they both start woofing, then probably there is someone there. Oh man, it's so distracting having him woof. Oh my god. Yeah, no, is it oh my god. Should I just go down and have a look and see if anyone's home? I just can't tell if it's that house with all the noise. And you know, sometimes there's the leaf blower that just is so distracting as well. Oh, I can't think. People are oversensitive about this. Coronavirus, I almost got kicked out another stream because I made a joke, said the streamer had the virus because she went outside. Yeah, I do think people... Oh my god, Hopi! Is someone there or not? Hope! Hope! I don't know. I can't tell if anyone's home because that house, the building noises are so crazy. Hope! Hopi, I'm upstairs, babe! Hopi! he's not coming. Yeah, I think the concern about the coronavirus, and then times are hard, and I had to eat several, and there was much rejoicing. Yeah, no, I think the thing about the coronavirus, what's concerning governments is the numbers game, because like, depending on who you ask, I think the most optimistic is maybe like deadpan, yeah. Round about 1% die. So if you consider the population, if it spreads enough, then that's a lot of people. Do you think people are oversensitive, or am I just easily offended? Like it depends. It depends who you are. It's going to affect people differently, and it depends, like, you know, your age and your health, and also like whether you've got relatives or friends who, you know, are elderly or, you know, don't have the best immune system. There's that to consider. There's also like what country you're in, because some countries will be worse hit than others. You know, unfortunately, we don't have a perfect health system anywhere, and there's different levels of how good they are. Which I think is natural. Like, there's only so many resources you can realistically put into any particular cause. So yeah, like it depends a bit on who you are, how sensitive you're going to be about this, and you know how much you're going to panic. The media is not helping. Like, they'll say, "Oh, don't panic," but here's all this stuff going on. Like, you know, the whole panic buying thing. I think there'd be less panic buying if they just didn't mention that people were panic buying, because what happens is, like, you know, maybe one store runs out of toilet paper, and then the news reports it, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, we better get toilet paper too," and you just make the problem worse. Do you know what I mean with that? She was in her 20s. Young people can't get it anyway, so I hear, huh? Oh no, young people can definitely get sick. I think younger people tend to have less symptoms, but I have heard there are some more serious cases. And like, you know, there were some Chinese doctors in particular who got quite sick with it. Although, you know, in China, the air quality is not great. I think I mentioned before, like, you know, do we know what their respiratory health is? There was, you know, that case of that jogger who used to jog. I think is this in Australia? You know, like if you go jogging next to traffic every day, even though you're sort of fit from a jogging perspective, you've been breathing in crap air all the time, and because this is a respiratory disease, you know, I wonder if the Chinese doctors maybe got worse hit because of that. Also, like, if you're a doctor and you're constantly in contact with these people, that seems to be a factor. It's a little bit hard to get accurate information though, because even the official sources, sometimes you're a bit like, yeah, but that doesn't actually tell me what's going on, you know? It feels like things are missing. I feel like governments are doing a bad job of explaining why they're taking certain measures over others and why they're making certain decisions. I've heard some things saying, like, you know, maybe governments and the media are hyping it up so that when it does get worse, we don't panic as much. Like, you know, maybe we're panicking now, but if it suddenly got heaps worse, you know, then we'd be all like, "Oh, the sky's falling." Whereas if we're desensitized to it, by the time it does get worse, we're just like, this is the new reality. I've heard things like that where it's a sort of, not reverse psychology, but some kind of psychology game there. It's hard to say. But I mean, if you consider, like, for example, Trump as a president is very different, very extreme behaviors and all that, but because, you know, he's always like that and it's been like that for ages, people have become desensitized to the fact that Trump will do anything, and people are just like, meh. Although stock market's finally had a panic, hasn't it? Does the virus scare you? No, it doesn't scare me, not me personally. I guess there's like a small concern because it's a respiratory disease and I'm a singer. You know, I've heard in the more serious cases it can, like, apparently permanently damage your respiratory system, which would suck for me, because, you know, singing's one of those few things I enjoy. You don't like Trump? No, I don't like him. But like, I'm not gonna blanket say that everything he's done is wrong. Like, every now and then he'll do something and you're like, yeah, fair enough. But he's an odd one because he does make a lot of shit decisions, but he does make some good decisions in there. It's a bit like, Trump feels like rolling a dice, like you don't know if it's going to be good or bad. And then also his behavior, you know, makes it very hard to take him seriously. The deal is if younger generation gets it, they're probably going to be okay. You probably wish they were dead, but they will be fine. I don't have any opinion of the younger generation. I think people are just people, and some people in a generation will be good, and some people in a generation will be annoying, as long as your immune system is not compromised with other things. Yeah, so like I'm not personally scared of the virus because, you know, I think 80% of people will have mild symptoms. You just stay at home, get some rest, you'll be fine. So most of us will be okay, especially those of us who are younger. I mean, I'm not heaps young. How old am I? I love this question. Do you want to guess how old I am, or should I just... I mean, most people on this channel, I think, know how old I am. But if you want to have a guess, I'll give you like a minute. Because I think there's a delay between me speaking and you guys watching it and then being able to reply. Hey, you guys are actually quite close. Yeah, I'm 31. I'm turning 32 this year. Yeah, quite often there are people who think I'm like a teenager, and I'm like, are you kidding? I haven't been a teenager for more than a decade. I just don't understand that. Yeah, I don't know. It's always like, you know, when I try and get into a club or something, if I'm trying to see a metal gig, most of the time I have to rummage through for my bloody ID, and you know, I had different hair then and I was kind of grumpy, so it's just like I hope they don't think I have a fake ID. Although, like, who writes that they're 30 on a fake ID? You try and write something like 18 or 19 so it's believable, right? 27 in June. Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm 31. So I'm not like the youngest. I'm also not like the most fit or anything, but I think chances are good that if I got the virus, I'd be fine. Yeah, although the hay fever's not fun. But yeah, no, I managed not to get sick last year, so cross fingers my immune system's finally got its shit together. I think, like, here's another thing is if you're worried, if you're stressed, if you're anxious, that can sort of add to the struggles of your immune system. So the more you worry, the more likely you are to get it in a way, because your immune system is already freaking out. And maybe because I'm not depressed anymore, maybe that's why I didn't get sick last year, maybe because I'm happier. Hello. Fun fact, coronavirus rate of growth is exponential. Australia's growing 20% a day. That is all Italy ever did. Australia's tracking to get there in 5 weeks, so why does this not bother us going? Yeah, no, I think I said earlier in the stream, I mean, yeah, there is the exponential problem. There's also the fact that, like, Australia's growing 20% a day, you say. That would be, I mean, I haven't checked if that's accurate, but let's say it is. That would just be known cases, and obviously there's going to be a lot more cases out in the community that we don't know. So what, we have 300 and something cases officially? Bullshit. Bullshit. Like, officially, yes, but that's not how many cases we have. We have at least 10 times as much, maybe more, I don't know. I really wonder if my head cold... I got lucky. Yeah, like, look, if you're younger, don't worry too much. I know if you have, like, a health problem, there is some risk, but I think the risk is worse. Like, even if you have a health problem, the risk is worse if you're older, and if you have, let's say you have a heart condition, or you have lung cancer, or if you have the flu, if you get the two things at the same time, I think those are the times that maybe you'd want to, go to the hospital. Would you date a younger guy? I don't date anymore. I had a go at that and came back to my initial conclusion that dating's not for me. So I have tried it. No one can accuse me of not having tried it. But yeah, I don't date. I'm just not interested. Don't give a shit. I have dated older and younger, and yeah, no, it doesn't work for me. I'm just not interested. Yeah, no. So Australia, yeah, I kind of feel like there are a lot more cases here already. If we're going to crack down and we're going to do that flattening the curve strategy, why don't we just crack down more? 500 people. That's our limit for gatherings. That's a lot of people. Meanwhile, other places like, you know, don't gather in groups of more than 5 people. And we're doing 100 times that. And we're still going on public transport all crowded together. Although I haven't been outside, so I don't know what it's actually like. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're already putting ourselves through so much economic disruption, we might as well go all the way and get it over with, rather than drag it out with the, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think, you know, go big or go home. This is probably why I shouldn't be a politician. Is it for religious purposes? Oh, the dating thing? No, it's just I'm not interested. I don't give a shit. I'm not a lonely person. I think when I was younger, maybe I was lonelier, but like in a psychology kind of way. And now that I'm on the internet a lot, maybe that's all I need. I don't know. I never really had any interesting guys. When I was younger, that didn't really change, but of course, people are always like, but you haven't tried it, which is annoying. But yeah, and then what? I was manipulated, I feel, into a relationship by this one dude who was very charming in the beginning and turned out to be a dick. Um, yeah, and then after that, it was sort of like, well, I've dated one guy, you know, might as well see. I think I was a little bit confused for a while, and yeah, I think I had two more relationships after that, which were fine. It's just the nice guys and all that. It's just like I don't really have that sort of genuine feeling. I don't know. Um, I have dumped every guy that I have dated, which, you know, I was really hoping the last one would dump me, like sort of realize that it wasn't going anywhere, but no. I did hear later that he was so stressed by it that he started to lose hair, and that's probably a sign that I shouldn't date, because all I do is make people stressed like that, because I don't really like the in every relationship, even the sort of crappy first one, like, because you know, even when it's crappy, like the reason you stay is because it's not 100% bad and you think maybe it'll get better, and then I was being gaslit. I was probably gaslighting myself to some extent. I was like, maybe it's my fault. um but yeah, no, so there's good things, and that's why, you know, people stay, I think, some of the time. And yeah, no, what was I saying? Uh, every single guy I dated at some point was like, you don't actually care about any of the stuff I do. You're not interested in my interests. You're not into you don't like my family and all this kind of stuff or whatever. When I was like, seriously, why would I have a fake ID? I just expired. Have ever been in love. Um, yeah. So like, yeah, no, with the relationships thing, I think especially the first relationship, I really tried to believe that I was feeling something, and I really tried to believe that I was in love and all this kind of stuff. But at some point, you're kind of like, he's right. I don't give a shit about any of this stuff. Not really. I'm very self-centered, I think. Um, yeah. So, like, the question of ever been in love, I don't know, because I don't know what that's really supposed to feel like. Does toilet paper cure coronavirus? Why is everyone taking it? Ah, yeah. I don't know. It's a kind of interesting thing. I should show you guys how you can make tissue paper, though. I need a scrap bit of paper. Um, you know, if you get really desperate. I think it's just like, I have a feeling that people have been buying other stuff, but the media has maybe focused on toilet paper because that's kind of the funny one to focus on. Because I know, like, rice has been a shortage. Like, I'm a half Asian family. We eat a lot of rice, and so usually we're able to buy all these bags of rice. But lately, it's been a bit harder to find it. People are stocking up on pasta and all those things that last longer, and then toilet paper as well. And yeah, I think the media kind of maybe looks at it and is like, which one's the funny one to report on? Let's report on the toilet paper. Also, when you have toilet paper, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but we have like those big 24 roll things. So when you stack them all up on a shelf, looks like a lot of toilet paper. But if you take a bunch away, suddenly there's this huge gap because of the size of the things that you're buying. Whereas if you buy up all the pasta, you don't see as big a gap in the shelf. So it's less exciting for the cameras, perhaps. What happened to the comments? Oh my god, it's not showing things properly. I've never been in love either. I liked a few girls a lot, but it wasn't love. Is that bad? No, I think like some people just don't. We don't need it. Yeah. I mean, you know, society is a bit like, ooh, how great is love and all that. So, you know, they talk it up, and then a bunch of us will get confused and be like, am I supposed to eventually feel something here? Um, but I think some of us are just different. It's like, you know, some people don't like sport. I don't like sport. With sport, I would rather play it than watch it, but overall, it's not for me, kind of thing. I think it's just preferences. Like, I know biologically there's a purpose to reproduction, but also biologically, like, homosexuality, for example, does occur naturally. It's not just in humans, it's in other species as well. And that's nothing to do with reproduction, not directly anyway. So there'll be some of us who just don't give a shit. If you really wanted to look it up, I mean, I don't know if you know about asexuality, and then there's like aromantic and all that kind of stuff. You can look up them. I would just like take everything with a grain of salt because that community I found to be a little bit off the rails and toxic at some point. But it depends, I guess, who you're talking to. There was one group on Facebook that was particularly bad. Do I have to now run off? I kind of wish they'd just come home so that I could sort that out. I might just go check and see if anyone's come home. So just bear with me. I'll be back in like a minute or so. Oh my god. Hopi, are you telling the truth this time? Hopi. Oh, are you coming up, Hopi? Oh, dear, oh dear. Alright, come here, dog. Come here. You come sit with me. It's cold downstairs, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Alright, we're back. Yeah, so Mikey's home. But we can keep going as long as I've got a bit of battery. We're doing okay so far. This is Hope, by the way. He's very cold. He's wearing his jumper in March. Like, anyway, did I miss anything while I ran off? Let me just check. Okay, read that one. Well, I'm headed out. Need sleep. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for joining in. It's a bit chaos. 2020 is just stupid. That's why I like, you know, when I'm writing the titles for these live streams, I'm like, maybe this won't happen, or like the descriptions. Because I don't know. It's like so hard to plan anything at the moment. Like, yeah, there's everything that can go wrong is trying to go wrong. Yeah, I don't know. And it's like, I think last time maybe did I talk about gigging? I'm like, maybe I should gig, but I'm sort of like, they're all gonna get cancelled. We're not cancelling small gigs in Australia yet, but I kind of feel like we should. Pretty shit for the entertainment industry. There's a lot of industries where, you know, people are kind of like freelance and casual work and all this kind of stuff. I feel like the government needs to get on top of that as well. Because, like, what the Australian government's doing at the moment, they gave people on welfare, or they're giving people on welfare like a one-off payment to try and stimulate the economy, and they're also giving, I think, concessions to business or whatever. And the whole idea of those kind of measures is to keep people buying stuff, but it's sort of like we should be staying home. Maybe we should get some support to stay home instead of to spend more money. I don't know. I do think the people on welfare need a bit more money though, because the rate's been so low for ages. Do you work out? Because you look in great shape, and do you think being healthy can help against coronavirus? The healthier you are, the better. He is cute, isn't he? The healthier you are, the better with the virus. I think that's probably true for most illnesses going around. Yeah, the better in shape your immune system is. Oh, Hopi, do you want to go back downstairs? Just give me a moment. In terms of working out, I don't. I mean, like every night I do stretches. Oh, he's giving me such a look. Excuse me. You want to go? There you go. No, I'm going to close the door if you don't go. You going? No, he's not going. He thinks he wants to go out. He's playing cat with me. You know how cats think they want to go out and then they don't? Hopi, you want to come back up? I'll give you a cuddle. No? Do you want to sit on your own chair? I could bring another chair here. No, he's just giving me faces. I think he's confused because we're up here. You know, it's a bit out of routine. He's like, why are you talking to yourself in this room? How tall are you? You got some long legs. Ugh. Are you talking about how my legs look in the punk rave video? Because I think I explained in that the waist is actually quite high, and so that makes the illusion that your legs are longer. It was really weird to see myself in the mirror at first, but once I put on the boots, it stopped looking weird. I don't know how it works. It just does. But yeah, no, well, the other question was about working out. So I don't work out, but I do stretches at night and usually some sit-ups as well. Sometimes push-ups. I think push-ups are supposed to be better, but sit-ups, I don't know. I like to think that it helps with my diaphragm for singing, but also I just find sit-ups easy. I do the sit-ups where like you know you do knee to knee kind of thing. I don't like straightforward sit-ups. I don't know why. I think they're just kind of boring and there's not really a sequence, or I'm not sure. I just don't like them. I feel like, you know, if I have a goal to try and reach my knee and then the other knee, I don't know, somehow that works better for me. How many push-ups can you do? I don't know, because I don't usually do them. If I am going to do push-ups, I'll do 5, usually. I can probably do more, but I'm just like, nah, 5 will do. Whereas with the sit-ups, I do like 20, so I guess 10 on each side. But I do them like 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So I usually do 20. Could probably do more there as well, but can't be bothered. Are you actually gonna go out? Oh my god, so even once everyone's home, can you do a handstand? I'd probably not anymore. I used to be able to, but I don't think I can now. Yeah, I think I'd fail a lot of that stuff. Also, like, because I've got low blood pressure, I don't like to go upside down. Depending on how bad it is, I can get a bit lightheaded. Like, you know, when you stand up too fast and things start blacking out a bit, I get that. Yeah, so upside down things, not great for me. Low blood pressure, like, is good in terms of, like, health. Just like, you know, sometimes it's a little bit too low. It's better to have low blood pressure than high blood pressure, but there are downsides to having low blood pressure. I think I'm not as bad as I used to be because I did finally put on some weight. You know, back when I was on those antidepressants, they really fucked up my appetite and I was losing so much weight. But since I got off them and, you know, I tried the tricyclic for a bit and put on a bit of weight and then came off it because it wasn't good. So I sort of, like, my weight sort of evened out. I think I'm usually around 52 kilos now, which for my height, I think is just in the healthy range. Still a little bit on the low side, but it's just in the healthy range. And that does kind of make a difference. I do feel like I'm healthier now that I'm a better weight. I've never had any eating disorder. It's not about that. It's just like I had no appetite for ages. And it seemed to be maybe not caused by the antidepressants, but definitely exacerbated by them. Yeah. Because I've always been a little bit picky and, you know, not the best appetite. Have you seen 1,000 Ways to Die? No, but it reminds me of that safety ad, Dumb Ways to Die, which is kind of cute. Yeah. No, I don't really... What, is that a movie? Yeah, I don't really... I don't know what that is, actually. I don't watch many movies or TV shows or anything. I kind of just watch like the odd thing on YouTube. Because I like to believe that watching stuff on YouTube is low commitment because most videos are like 5 to 10 minutes. Obviously mine aren't because I'm that kind of nut job, but most videos on YouTube are 5 to 10 minutes. So I like to delude myself into thinking that they're low commitment, whereas like TV shows and movies is like half an hour to 2.5 hours, depending on what you're watching. And it's sort of like, do I really want to commit to that? And then if it's a TV show, how many episodes do you have to watch? Yes, I don't watch a lot of that stuff. I like to feel like I'm always being productive. Even if I'm not, even if I end up wasting a lot of time. I think that's what's happening to me a lot lately. TV is dying anyway. Hulu, Netflix, and YouTube is where it's at. Yeah, I still like to watch the ABC News, because mostly it's okay. I don't like 7:30. 7:30 is a terrible show. They're quite biased and, they're one of those programs that tells you not to panic but then shows you all the bullshit that's going on. But yeah, no, TV, I think it's got a certain audience and then yeah, everything else is streaming. The thing about streaming though is they keep splintering into smaller and smaller like different things. And I don't know how sustainable that is because like every streaming service, yes, they only cost a few bucks, but when you add them all together, that's a lot of money per month. And because like everything used to be on Netflix pretty much. Australian Netflix has never been as good as American Netflix. But Netflix used to have heaps of stuff, and then what? Like Disney decides they're gonna start their own one, so they take any Disney stuff that used to be on Netflix and put on their own one. And then as different companies make different streaming services, they pull them all off Netflix and all off each other's services. And then to get the same shows, you have to buy all these other subscriptions and so on. And it's a bit like, I mean, on the one hand, sometimes it means that those companies can produce more TV shows. On the other hand, though, it makes each individual streaming service less good, in a sense. Hey, what's up? Yeah, just talking on all kinds of stuff. I can't even remember all the things. There's been a lot of talk about the coronavirus because, it's topical and it's finally starting to impact all our lives in a big way. Before it was just sort of pottering along, but now governments are cracking down, so yay to anyone who had plans this year, which is probably most of us, hey. Yeah, no, I wonder about the Netflix, the sort of streaming model, how sustainable it is. It's good that, like, you can cancel at any time, because I think what people will, what most sensible people will do is, like, you find a show you want to watch, you get the subscription for a month, and then once you finish watching it, you cancel. And then move on to the next one. I feel like that's probably the most sensible way to use streaming services as they splinter. But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing for them all to be splintering the way they are. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the streaming model goes forward. I'm sure they'll be fine. It's just like, it feels a bit disjointed and it feels like they're all undermining each other. So I think that's something to watch for. Anyway, what else is going on? Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV. I do still like buying DVDs. I like having that little collection, and then, I don't have to buy a streaming service when I want to watch the same show over and over, which I tend to do. I watched Venom the other night for, I don't know how many times I've watched that now. Just every now and then I'm like, you know what I'm in the mood for? Fucking Venom. And no, I don't know if I'm going to see the second movie because I didn't read the comics. I didn't really watch much of TV shows or anything. I don't really care. And so everyone's like, ooh, Carnage. And I'm like, I don't know who that is. Or like, at the end of the Venom movie, they have the extra scene. And I'm just like, I don't know why I'm supposed to be excited about it. I went and looked it up and I'm like, okay, yay, apparently the actor is also someone I should be excited about, and I'm just like, kind of don't give a shit. And so I feel like the second Venom movie, if I go and see it, will probably just be disappointing to me, because also the first Venom movie is sort of like, he doesn't know who Venom is, right? So there's a bit more of this, like, what is this thing in my head kind of thing, whereas when we get to the second Venom movie, he seems to have made peace with that. And I'm like, well, the part that interests me the most won't be there. It'll just be like standard action movie as far as I can tell. I kind of like that sort of, more split personality, conflict kind of thing. If they're all happy and working together, it's a bit like, shit, hey. I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff. And I'm sure if you like those kinds of things, if you know the Venom story and all that, I'm sure you'll enjoy it, but I don't know that I will. Is the dog cold? Yeah, he is a bit. He was pretty sad earlier, like over the weekend. I actually had to give him some pain meds because he was doing his little hunching thing, which he was doing last year. I don't know if it was really necessary to give him the pain meds, but he did seem to perk up after that. You did want your own chair, didn't you? He's now sitting on his own chair. I would turn around the camera, but, this isn't my space, so... yeah, no, he's sort of staring at me sitting on another chair now. But yeah, he was doing this sort of hunching thing, and then, when that happens, he doesn't really lift his neck, and so there were a couple days I gave him pain meds, which I've had prescribed for him since August, and haven't had to use until now. But I'm also like, did I really need to give it to him? Because since I put his jumper on and I've been giving him more cuddles, he hasn't done it as much, or if he has done it, it hasn't lasted as long. So it's hard to know because he is a bit of a drama queen as well. So when he's in pain, it can be hard to know if it's like genuine or if he's just freaking out. Like every now and then, if he goes to chase a bird, he might hit his foot on the step as he's going up it, and then he'll do this whole act where he's like, oh, I can't walk anymore. But then you distract him with a treat or something, and all of a sudden he's jumping around again, and you're like, you are fine. Oh my god, I said exciting words like BIRD and TREAT. And now he's sort of looking at me like, you said exciting things. I wouldn't say any exciting things then. I was going to take him for a WALK as well, but the weather's not looking as good. And I was also thinking of going up to the shops, but yeah, no, it's become quite overcast. We actually had some proper sun today, but now it's overcast again. I'm so sick of all this rain, and I'm so sick of the cold. Downstairs is actually colder. Up here is not too bad, I suppose, because heat rises. But yeah, no, like I actually had to turn on the heater as well over the weekend. Turning on the heater in March in Sydney, like it's supposed to be early autumn. As I said 2 years ago, this time of year would have been in the high 30s. It's just like insane. Yeah, dogs know what that means. Yeah, they definitely do. They also know HUNGRY. Yeah, sometimes if I'm talking about food, I use Japanese because they don't really understand Japanese, but they can understand tone of voice. So sometimes they know, like, well, if you're speaking Japanese, you do kind of have a bit of a different sound in your voice, but depending on context, sometimes they can sort of get the idea. I know the Labrador, if it's around 6 o'clock, it doesn't matter what you say, he's just going to assume you asked if he was HUNGRY. Yeah. Oh dear. Dear. Oh, but yeah, no, I think the weather is not helping with my productivity because I feel tired because it got cold all of a sudden. And so, I put my hunten on, keeping warm. And yeah, yesterday I had my jumper on as well. Was tempting to get out my little gloves, but my room didn't get that cold. Oh, speaking of, like, one of the things I was thinking is, my new computer gives out a lot of heat. Maybe I should be running something heavier on it to give out the heat while it's cold. And then, with the whole coronavirus thing, and then the fact that my computer is ridiculously good. So I had to go looking into that folding at home thing, which is where you can donate your computer's, like, extra power to some science thing where they're investigating the proteins involved in things like coronavirus to find a cure and all that. And I had a look at that folding at home. You got a new computer? Cool. Yeah, it's nice to have a new computer. You sort of get everything fresh and get a bit of a speed boost, especially me after 8 years of that old computer. But yeah, I don't game, or I haven't been gaming, and I haven't even been editing that much video because it's just like 2020 is so full of distractions and things going wrong and whatever. So I was like, maybe I could do this folding at home thing. But, I did all this research because I was concerned, like, if I suddenly used more power and, what do I need? Like Australia's internet's not that great, so what does the internet use and all that kind of stuff. And eventually I was sort of satisfied, like I could at least run it on a low setting. But when I installed it in my computer, it defaults to medium mode. And all of a sudden I hear my graphics card, you know, whirl up and it starts doing something. So then I look at the little interface, and I also went into the advanced interface to the log, and it well, now I can't read what you're writing, so, but yeah, no, I was trying that folding at home thing, and it's on medium, and it's doing something, but when I actually looked, it kept saying, there's no work units. It kept saying, it's trying to find something to do, and it had nothing to do. But even on medium, when I went to the Alienware thing where you can check, like, what percentage it's using of all that stuff, it was on 100% power usage. I don't know how much of like processing usage, but it was running at 100% power on medium speed doing nothing. And so I was just like, well, that was my one chance to do something positive about this coronavirus thing, and now I can't be fucked because it's not behaving the way it's supposed to. I put it on low, and when I put it on low, it's like it's doing absolutely nothing. But it wasn't even downloading a project to work on. So what was it doing when I was running the program, when it was running on medium with no project to work on? What was it doing? Why was it running my thing at 100%? And, you know, the temperature of the thing's going up and all that. I'm like, I don't want to waste energy for my computer to do nothing. So that was a real letdown. I feel like I wasted that day because, you know, I was looking up folding at home and trying to find all the FAQs and trying to find videos about, you know, whether or not I'm using it right. And then it didn't work the way that I thought it was going to, and it didn't even do anything positive. Some people are like, oh, sometimes you have to wait for them to upload a project. That's fine. I could wait for a project. But if it's on medium speed and if it's waiting for a project, it shouldn't be running my graphics card at all. It should be waiting until there's a project. So I was really unhappy with that. So if anyone knows what the computer was doing when it had no projects to work on, no work units, there were no units available, if you happen to know what that could be, please, you know, tell me about it, because I just installed it, uninstalled it after that. I was like, fuck it. If you're just going to waste energy on my computer and not actually do anything productive, there's no point. Yeah, disappointing. Anyway, so that felt like a wasted day. I mean, I did do other things that day, but I spent so much time trying to figure that shit out, and it was for nothing. So, yeah. I don't know, I feel like there was another thought involved there, but... No. I don't know, I guess because, like, there's actually been a bit of publicity about folding at home, and video is like, hey, gaming computer people, let's all get on this. And, so there's probably been a spike in interest, and that would explain why there's no work units available, because they're already all assigned to all these computers that have come online to help with the folding project. It just bothers me that my computer was still wearing up the GPU, but not actually achieving anything. So, yeah. Anyway, that's that. I think I'm just gonna stick to my music, bonsai, YouTube. Those are like my three things. And then of course, like, you know, the working from home stuff. But yeah, I was just like, the tech stuff takes up too much time and I achieved nothing. Yay! I hate that feeling, you know, where I was trying to do something helpful because yes, I spent too much. It's not a laptop. I do have a laptop. It's a 2009 MacBook Pro, still running Snow Leopard, not connected to the internet because, you know, that would be silly. But no, the new computer I'm talking about is my Alienware. I don't know if you saw my video where I spent $6,000 Australian on a new computer. I have an unboxing. I really got to get myself to focus and edit that video so I can post it for you, the unboxing of that computer. It's an Alienware Aurora R8 with an Intel 9900K processor and a 2080 Ti graphics card. What would you do if you won the lottery? It's a bit hard to say because it depends how much you win. Because, you know, you want to look after family and all that, because you also don't want people to fight over money. But the sensible thing to do if you won the lottery is, like, maybe you want to save some money, you'd probably invest in shares. Especially now the stock market is so low, everything's so cheap, and I'm young enough that if I buy shares now and just sit on them for ages, they'll actually be worth something when the market recovers and I'm older and dividends and stuff. No, if you make a lot of money, stick them into shares, reliable shares, not dodgy ones. Reliable companies that'll be around for a while with a reasonable dividend. If you're in Australia, go for ones that are fully franked. Although keep an eye on the government policy because the Labor Party really fucked that up at the last election, didn't they? Yeah, set it up to reinvest, and then when you need it, take it off, reinvest, and they'll just pay you dividends, and then you don't have to work anymore. That's a sensible thing to do. If you win the lottery and just spend it all, you're just going to go broke. You'll be back to square one. You need to have sensible saving strategies if you're going to win the lottery. So yeah, I'd probably save it. But, with excess money, I think I would take a while to think about what I wanted to spend it on, to be honest. Because I guess I've been brought up to sort of be careful with money. That's why when you say that, my first thing is like, buy shares. I do have some shares. Obviously, they've taken a hit with the current crisis, but they're all in companies that are pretty stable. So once all this is over, it'll come back. I'm actually considering buying some more shares with the small amount of money that I have, because, I've got stuff in the bank, but in Australia, we're sort of following the US to cut interest rates ridiculously low, as if that's going to help the economy. It's not. I don't understand why the governments are doing that. Ooh, now interest rates are 0.25%. No one is going to be spending extra money just because it went down by another tiny fraction. And then for those of us who were trying to save money, the banks aren't going to give us any interest rate probably. Like it's not worth it. So you'd be better off sticking that money into shares, waiting for the market rate to recover, reinvesting the dividends. Because I got to say, the reinvested dividends have actually done good. I bought my shares back when the Brexit vote went first. Back when the Brexit vote first went through, because people were panicking, and there were quite a few shares that got cheap. And until this current crisis, the prices are actually going up. But never mind that, it's the reinvested dividends that I want. Because then in like 10 years' time, they'll be worth a lot more. Yeah, but now with interest rates so low, there's no point keeping money in the bank, really. I mean, you always want a little bit of a cushion. Not that I have many expenses, but yeah, I'd want to keep a cushion, but maybe I'll put like half my savings into shares. I don't have that many savings, but maybe I'll take like half and put them into shares, like, watch the market a bit longer. But there are some companies I know are quite cheap at the moment, and I know will be fine once coronavirus is done. So I'm sort of like, maybe I'll buy some of them while they're cheap, because then I can get more shares for my small amount of money. I don't understand brokerage. So when I bought my shares around that Brexit vote, they were doing like a freebie deal, so I didn't have to pay any of that stuff. But now I'm going to have to actually look and be like, hey, mum and dad, what's brokerage and what do I need to know? Should I buy these shares? Anyway, I've probably sent most of you guys to sleep, but yeah, no, if you win the lottery, don't just spend it on everything. If possible, don't tell anyone that you've won the lottery, because people get crazy. People start asking you for shit. It can destroy relationships, and you end up broke anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a reason that the lotto curse is a thing, and it's because people get carried away and spend all the money. And often, like, if someone isn't used to managing money, apparently that is a major downside for the lottery, because they don't know how to manage their money. They spend it on all the wrong things, and then there's no money left and they're back to square one. Be careful if you win the lottery. It's not as good as it sounds. You have to be careful with it. There are some things that I would like, I guess, maybe like if I had some more space for music things. Maybe if I had like a space, like a sort of studio space where I could do some of my music stuff and set up like a proper YouTube-y kind of thing with like some nice lights for a change, because that's always a struggle for me, trying to use natural lighting, and like I just don't have the space. It would be nice to have something set aside for that. For a while I thought I'd have like an art studio, but I've decided I don't actually like painting. So yeah, it's more these sort of long-term things. Um, I mean, I've got a pretty comfortable life. There's not too many things that I actually need. But yeah, there's some things that would make life a little bit easier if I had that extra space. Maybe I could buy the neighbor's property. Because I don't even know if he lives there. I hardly ever see him. He's mostly full of all the stuff he collects. He's one of those hoarder types. Um, maybe just be like, hey, so. I think people have tried to buy that property off him though, because you could redevelop it, and I think he just says no. So I don't think anyone's going to be able to buy that property until he dies. To be honest, he'll probably leave it to someone. I don't know what his family's like because we'd never see them, but I don't think whoever he leaves it to will be the same way. Um, yeah. Anyway, so that's a ramble about money. Maybe not what you were expecting me to say. If I won the lottery, I'd probably be very boring about it. Because, yeah, I'm sort of also past that point where I feel like buying stuff. Like, when I'm in my room and I've got that bookshelf with all the stuff, all the knickknacks, I stopped buying stuff probably around the time that I got depressed last time. So, 2015, 16, I wasn't buying as many things. People still give me stuff, but yeah, no, I just stopped buying knickknacks. I don't buy, little jewelry things anymore. For a while I was buying a lot of that. Um, yeah, I don't spend as much money. So if you ask me, like, if I could spend money on anything, it would take me a while to figure out what to do because I think a part of me sort of died inside, and now I'm just like, I don't really need that much. Um, Yeah, I guess it would depend on what I was doing at the time. Like maybe be like, I really need a thing. And then I'd be like, oh shit, I have all this money. I can actually buy the thing that I need to do the other thing. That's probably how I'd approach it. I hope that's not too boring. I'm a little bit distracted by the shadow this chair over here is making. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. Maybe I just made it worse. Yeah. I don't know, like, my family, I wouldn't say we're rich. The rich people all live down by the beach, but we're comfortably well off, I guess. But at the same time, yeah, my parents raised me and my other brother to sort of be stingy with money. So like my brother who's a teacher, he he, he hardly ever spends money. Like he has started going on skiing trips, although he's not going to be able to do that this year. I think he'd like to go to Japan, but there's so much uncertainty that he'd usually book a flight a year in advance. And now, no, because we don't know how long this is going to be an impact. I know they're saying like coronavirus will be a few months, but we don't know for sure. So, yeah, that's what he's started spending money on. He's only been like a couple times though. Otherwise, he just saves money. And I'm kind of the same. Like, that's how I can get away with not working so much because I just don't spend money. I don't go anywhere. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Those things are expensive. Um, don't really go out. And then because I'm living with my parents, I don't have rent. I think my other brother pays rent because like he's got a stable job, but I don't. I've had mental health problems. My parents are sort of okay with that now. Yeah, and I try and help out with things like, sorting out tech problems around the house, and I'm here for when Mikey needs to be let in, for example, like today. Otherwise, yeah, no, there was a sort of real focus when we were younger, like, don't be spoiled and all that kind of stuff. Go shake the money tree, and we'd go out and there's no money tree. Although, like, money tree, Chinese jade, yeah, it unfortunately they don't grow coins. But if you take a bit of a money tree cutting and you just cut it, you stick it in the ground, chances are it'll start growing. They're insane plants. Um, yeah, no, like even just like I've trimmed some. I didn't even stick it in the ground. It just sort of fell to the side and I didn't throw it out. And I found this tiny little piece of money tree just growing new roots. And I'm just like, oh my God, I got too many of these things. Like there's a whole bunch I made a while ago and I didn't realize how much they'd propagate and they've just gone nuts. I'm just like, oh my God, I've got too many money trees. Anyway, that's a tangent. That's about plants, not about money. But yeah, no, it's always like save money, be conservative with money, don't be spoiled. Yeah. So, and especially now having Oh my god, Hope, what are you doing? You're so cute. Yeah, no, I think I've just passed that sort of phase where I felt like things might make my life better somehow, and now I'm like, what do I actually need? I don't know. Food. Oh my god. Ask me a different question because I feel like I've wrung this one out as far as I can go. You know, money's not that interesting. Um, I do wish like the government would raise the rate of welfare because there's a lot of people who are struggling. I think technically, if I applied, I could probably still get some money off welfare. It's just like I hate the system, so I'm like, no, I would rather make less money and have a comfortable, like stress-free life than have more money. But I'm lucky because I'm living at home and I don't have that many expenses. Whereas most people who are on welfare in Australia, like, there are people who are skipping meals on a regular basis, and then the government's like, oh, let's give them a one off payment for coronavirus, as if that's going to change their lives in the long term. It'll allow a few people to buy, like, a new fridge. But then they go back to barely being able to pay their rent and so on, and I'm just like, I don't like that. And economically speaking, you know, the people who are on welfare at the moment in Australia, all the money you give them, they're going to spend on groceries and stuff. Like they have, like they're already skipping meals. You give them a bit more money, it's just going to go back into the economy, and then it'll give jobs to the people who work in retail, and then they'll go spend money, and then it'll just go up and up and up. I'm just like, why aren't we giving the people at the bottom a little bit more money? Like, it's not even raising the rate at this point, just brings them up to slightly less discomfort. Like it won't, it's not like they're comfortable now and you're giving them extra money to spend on an Xbox or whatever. It's like you're giving them extra money to be able to eat a little bit more regularly, you know. And just, I don't understand why we've been so slow on that if we're really concerned about the economy. Australia's economy has been slowing for a while, and now there's coronavirus, we've had the fires as well, and it's just like, if we really want to get the economy going, we probably should have done that kind of stuff earlier and made it more regular instead of a one-off payment to buy a fridge. Especially with coronavirus, like, do we want people going to the shops right now? I don't know. I feel like, isn't there some country where they've like suspended rent payments and mortgage payments or something? I don't know if that's true. I've sort of vaguely heard about it, but I feel like we should sort of like stop everyone's obligations for a minute. We're all in the same boat here. Everything's being cancelled. Give some people some relief so they don't have to panic about how they're going to pay for rent, etc. Because, you know, you can't go to work. I feel like we're not really doing a good job with figuring out the... Oh, did I just scratch that? Oh, fucking... God damn it. Yeah, well, I just scratched a scab and now it's bleeding. Good work, me. Yeah, no, I'm worried about the people who are a bit more casually employed. I've got a lot of musician friends, obviously, and, you know, people working in entertainment. Hey! Yay! Now, let's talk about something different. You want to ask me a question? I'm a little bit scared, though, because you kind of come up with some difficult ones sometimes. Sorry, I just made myself bleed, and I'm a little bit distracted by it. I'll just hold on to that for a bit, and eventually it'll stop. Ah. Tiniest little dot caught my eye. It turned out to be a scab, and I had this funny feeling like I just knew it was something bad. I just couldn't leave it alone. Kept picking at that scab like it was a doorway trying to seal itself shut. But I climbed through. Now I am somewhere I am not supposed to be, and I can see things I know I really shouldn't see. And now I know why. Now I know why. Things aren't as pretty on the inside. Oh my god, apparently if you sing stuff on YouTube, they can give you a copyright claim. Oh, fuck. Yeah, no, try not to pick at scabs. Anyway, no, come on, someone ask me a question because I don't want to talk about money. I don't know, coronavirus is a bit like... Alright, what else is going on? Oh, the fucking locust. Hang on, let me just get rid of that extra bit of scab. Because that's useless now, I've broken it. Have you guys heard about the locusts in Africa? That's a lot of fun. Talk about a biblical year. We've got, you know, I guess coronavirus isn't technically a plague, but you know, if you want to call it a plague. And then we've got swarms of locusts. We've had fires in Australia. We've also had floods in Australia. My life has been in chaos. I don't know about you guys. You know, just all the random little things going wrong for me personally. Yeah, it's one of those sort of odd biblical. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, me picking a scam. Um, I think I used to be worse at picking scams. Um, People hoarding food and supplies in Australia. Yes, they are. Um, Although they've actually brought in some measures, so like there's limits on how many things of toilet paper and pasta or whatever, depending on where you shop. They are putting in limits. Also, I know Woolies and I think Coles is joining in now in having like an hour at the start of the day where it's reserved for the elderly and disabled to be able to get supplies. Um, because yeah, like you know, a lot of the able-bodied people have been stocking up, and then elderly people go to the shops and they're like, where's all this stuff? And you know, if you're older and it's hard to get to a shopping center, you don't want to get there and find that there's nothing for you to buy. So yeah, no, they are putting in place measures to help people because you know, Australia, we produce most of the stuff. Like you know, I think the Harris Markets chick was saying we produce like 96% of our own food. We're also producing our own toilet paper here. Like, that's one of the things about Australia. We've got a lot of farmers. Yes, we've had droughts and fires, but only in certain parts of the country. Other parts of the country are fine. So, like, we've got backup. We also export a lot of food. So, we'll be fine. You know, we can always stop exports if it gets that bad. You know, it sucks to be another country who was relying on us, but Australia's fine. So the supermarkets are putting in place some reasonable restrictions and also helping out, you know, older people and disabled people who need a bit more help with shopping because everyone else is just buying up stuff. I think most people are being sensible, but you do hear about, like, it only takes a small group of people to really fuck shit up. So a small group of people buying all the toilet paper, they still bought all the toilet paper, whereas most people I think are being sensible. Um, but yeah, no, it's a small group of people being dickheads. Apparently there have been some good stories as well, though, like, you know, people seeing that someone was trying to buy something and, you know, having the last one and being like, oh, here, you have it instead. There has been a bit of that. It's like Aussies also have a bit of that mateship kind of culture. As I said, like, it depends where you are in Australia, what kinds of people you find. I think that stopped bleeding. I'll have a look at it in a moment. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Aussie culture, we do have that sort of mateship one. And really, like, the atmosphere of this whole virus situation is starting to feel a bit like wartime. I hear overseas it already feels more like wartime. But I think, you know, Australia's starting to get that vibe as well. And, you know, in wartime, Australia has the whole Anzac culture, and it's very much about mateship and looking out for people and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel like some of that is starting to become more evident after like the initial panic. You are getting more of those people looking after each other kind of thing. Yeah, kind of interesting. It's such a weird time we're living in, hey, because a lot of us who are younger, we've never lived through a significant wartime. This is probably the biggest disruption to our lives in our memories. I mean, I'm old enough to remember September 11. That was a bit dramatic, but it didn't have this kind of effect on us. And neither did the Y2K bug. The Millennium bug, I wish people would stop saying, "Ooh, that was nothing." It had the potential to be pretty bad. The thing is, tech people knew about it, they worked hard, they stopped it from happening. There are a few places that did have glitches, but most of us were prepared by the time it happened. So when Y2K ticked over, most of us didn't see anything because we fixed the problem. And then people are like, oh, there was nothing to worry about. No, there was something to worry about. The tech guys don't get enough credit for what they did. Because another thing is, if you watch the Retro Report, I think that's the channel. The Retro Report did a thing on the Y2K bug, the Millennium bug, and they explained that when September 11 happened, right? You know, Wall Street, the Twin Towers, where do you think they keep all the computer stuff, right? So once those went down, because they'd already prepared for Y2K, they already had all these contingencies in place. So they were able to get the markets back up and running as if nothing happened much more quickly than if they hadn't done Y2K preparations. Like, it's not just the one event that you're preventing, you're actually stopping a whole lot of other bullshit from going down later. Like, people improved systems generally, not just for that one event. But anyway, back to the point. So this is probably the craziest thing to happen to most of us in like our sort of generation. You know, the last World War was, oh my god. I feel so old because I still think like it's the year 2000 when I'm calculating stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, the last war was like 55 years ago. No, it was more like 75 years ago. I know there have been other wars since, but they haven't had quite the impact, like, you know, Vietnam War and all that. Not the same as well, really smart. Look, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because especially when I'm live streaming, I'm just going off the top of my head. I know like other YouTubers who maybe talk like this, they actually have researched. If you watch Malin Baker, that's a good channel to watch. The Malin Baker Show, he has like a script in the background or something. I don't have that, so I haven't done, like, you know, I've done research, but I'm going off the top of my head in my memory, so do take things I say with a grain of salt, and I'm giving you my version of logic. I don't have fancy qualifications, so yeah, take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is my opinion. But if it's helpful, good. Just, yeah, do take it with a grain of salt. And if you feel like it, maybe like research and try and verify, because I could be talking out my butt. So yeah. But thank you. I'm glad you're sort of, you know, into the stuff that I'm saying. I hope it's not all bullshit. Is the scab? Yeah, stop bleeding. The virus situation is a good training for real catastrophes. Everything will be back to normal in 1 or 2 months. Still people losing. Well, it depends. Because China has been locked down for a couple months and like things are slowing down. But they don't seem to be fully back up and running. And like, you wouldn't want to be fully back up and running, because as long as it's somewhere in the world, there's a risk of it coming back. Like, can you imagine if China suddenly lifted, like, you know, they're like, okay, we're done in China, there's no more virus. If they start lifting all the restrictions, China is all about global trade and so on. The virus will come back in. So you kind of have to keep a lot of these restrictions for quite a while and make sure like the world has it under control. So 1 or 2 months, I think we might be impacted a bit longer, especially like the idea of flattening the curve is like, yes, you make it go longer, but then the health system can stay at that level instead of cases going above the level they can cope with and getting it over earlier. So I think we're actually going to be bunkering down for a while. Like, there's a lot of optimism. You know, some companies are like, oh, we're shut down until the end of March. And I'm like, bullshit, you're going to be shut down for longer than that. I think this is like the biggest thing for a lot of us in our generation. I mean, of course, I know some of you guys who watch me are a bit older. Oh shit, my battery's going down a bit. But yeah, no, hopefully it's not, I don't know where it cut off. Every time we get to like 1 hour 45, I feel like I get a little dip in the connection. But anyway, no, even people who are a little bit older watching my channel, I think there's a lot of people who still didn't really experience that kind of wartime. This is probably the closest some of us will get to a proper like World War kind of vibe, where everyone has to like pull together and hello. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. What are we doing? You want to be on the camera for a bit, do you?
Wow, I'm so easily distracted. Yeah, no, because Trump and Kim Jong-un managed not to have a nuclear dick swinging contest, so, you know, that's good. Actually, that's something I wonder about, is how is this virus going down in North Korea? Because I know they have a little bit of, like, immigration kind of stuff with China, but China seems to have cracked down pretty fast. There's some suggestion that a lot of those Asian countries learned from SARS, and so that's why a lot of them have cracked down really fast, and they're not getting as many cases compared to Europe, which didn't have to deal with it in the same way. Which is a concern for Australia. Like, you know, we didn't have to deal with it really from memory. I mean, I was a bit younger then, so I don't remember exactly, but maybe we should be cracking down harder like some of the Asian countries. Yeah, no, I wonder how things are going in North Korea. Has anyone looked into that? Because I'd be curious. Because North Korea doesn't strike me as a... Oh, hello. He's just sort of flopped over. North Korea doesn't strike me as a place with great healthcare. I've heard some interesting stories about how people live there. But on the other hand, because they're a more insular kind of country and they mostly only talk to China, yeah, I sort of wonder, like, have they had many cases? How are they controlling it? I think that would be very interesting. Yeah, we don't hear a lot. And a lot of the foreign journalists who maybe would be in a position to report on that are coming home. I think Canada has recalled a lot of people. A lot of our journalists are coming home, and then going straight into self-isolation. And there's a bit of confusion about, what that actually means for a lot of people. Yeah, no, it's an interesting time. It's a bit surreal. I will admit that part of me is a little bit excited because, I've grown up in a very safe period of history. At least as far as Australia is concerned. So for me, this is a bit like, hey, something might actually happen. Yeah, very interesting time. I think with my battery going down, and I do have other things to do, we've got maybe 10 minutes to go before I have to move off. So yeah, if you guys want to ask like some last minute questions. Oh my god, there's a dog hair. Oh, got it. That's the thing about having dogs. Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting time, and it's interesting to see how governments are reacting to it. It's like when I was in school, I do remember SARS and what? When was bird flu and swine flu? They were all sort of, it felt like a sequence of different flus for a while, but they never really came to Australia. They never really caused havoc here. So it was kind of just like, oh yeah. And so when coronavirus first happened, it felt like it was going to be another one of those things. But obviously, coronavirus is less deadly than some of those ones, or definitely less deadly than SARS. But because of that, it's easier for it to spread. And so it's sort of a numbers game. Like, yeah, SARS was technically more deadly, but because people showed more symptoms, they'd go to hospital sooner and it just wouldn't spread as much. Whereas with this one, a lot of people don't show symptoms, so it spreads more easily. And then even though only a small percentage of people die, because it's reaching a bigger population, it's already killed more people than SARS. And I think that's what governments are concerned about. Most of us will be fine. Although it is, like, even though 1% of people are dying, I should, like, mention, okay, 80% of cases that we know about, I'm sure there's more, 80% of cases that we know about, mild symptoms, stay at home, stay in bed, you're fine. I mean, maybe you should talk to the hospital because depending on your country, they might want to quarantine you or isolate you or whatever. But if you didn't have access to a hospital and you just stayed home, you'd be fine. I don't know the exact numbers, so again, grain of salt, but I think the next step, 15% of people have more serious symptoms, may need hospitalization, gonna have a not fun time. So there's a significant amount of that. On top of that, about 4% of people will need intensive care, and then 1% dead. So 80%, fine. I think 20% potentially in hospital. Of those, there's like the 15%. Not too bad. The 5% intensive care. I hope I'm not confusing you with the numbers. I feel like I need a whiteboard to separate it. But if here's our whole 100, most of us will be in the 80% if we catch it. The people down there, not so good. So about 20% of people are going to have a shit time of who catches it. 5% of people are going to have a really shit time. 1% of people are going to die. Grain of salt, I'm just giving you rough numbers so you get an idea of like what we currently know. Also, if you consider the number of people who don't have symptoms that we don't know about, that would change the percentage a bit more. Oh, Hopia, you're not feeling so good. He's doing this sort of thing where I think he has a stomach ache. Are you alright, sweetie? Do you want to go downstairs? I'm going to finish up in a bit, but you can go down ahead of me. You feeling a bit off? Oh dear, poor baby. Anyway, yeah, no. So what the previous thing was good trading for real catastrophes. I think they're treating it like it's a full-on catastrophe. I do keep in the back of my mind that, like, is it 25,000 people die every day from just starvation? Bit grim. I think like 2 people die a minute or something. I don't remember the exact figures, but you know, there's a lot of people dying from a lot of different things. So on the grand scheme of things, how does coronavirus compare? Is our response proportionate? It's hard to say. I think maybe governments are doing a terrible job of explaining to us exactly what the issue is, because they do seem to be concerned about hospitals being overwhelmed, which suggests to me that there's possibly more serious cases than we're actually being told about or being clearly communicated. But yeah, no, like, I think it's something like 25,000 people a day die of starvation. A lot of people are dying of suicide every day. There's so many other diseases that are killing so many people every day. But I think this one, maybe because it's in a lot of the wealthier countries, unfortunately, that might be why it's getting this much attention, and also because it's new and uncertain, and you know, someone's playing that game. You know, what is it called? Is it infection or plaguing? I think I played like a knockoff version on my iPod way back. Oh my god, Hopi, I will finish up soon. He's looking a bit sad. I might have to go and babysit him for a bit. But yeah, no, I know part of my brain is trying to think that game, you know, and you always start your virus off in China. What makes this different to playing that game, though, is it's the one virus, and in that game you can add mutations, and the mutations occur across the entire population. Whereas in this case, if the virus mutates, it'll mutate in a particular location, and those people get the new version of the virus. Meanwhile, the old version of the virus, which is infecting everyone else, will just be the same old virus. So you can't like ramp this up to a situation where you could kill everyone. For those of you who've played that game, you know, where Madagascar is always the last place to get infected. For me, Corona is a bother. I could do without it. It gives me a bad look at people. I don't even want to know how people would turn out in a real catastrophe. What do you mean by a bad look? But yeah, no, it's a... I don't think we should say that it's nothing, because it is having an impact. There are people who are going to suffer from it. But whether or not our reaction makes sense proportionally, it's hard to say. I mean, the information is always evolving, and then the information we actually get as the public, and then the media, and some governments doing an interesting job communicating things. Not always the most effectively, or that makes the most sense. Yeah, like, the pandemics, they do have a potential to be quite serious. So I wouldn't completely minimize it, but it is different to, let's say, if the whole earth got, you know, a sudden meteor shower that was like, you know, actually impacting places and, you know, throwing dust up into the air, or like a whole series of volcanic, like, there's a lot of other things that could cause faster moving catastrophes. This is more of a slower moving one, and it's an invisible one because it's a, you know, it's a virus. You can't see it with the naked eye, so it's easier to dismiss it, I think, in that sense. But yeah, it's tricky, and it's hard to know, you know, if we're doing everything the right way. But it also depends on your priorities, because some people are more concerned about the economy and the impact to everyday life. Other people are more concerned about the health of people and the potential for people to die. And yeah, it sort of depends on what your exact priorities are. I think I'm gonna have to go because Hope is looking quite sad, and my battery is running down anyway. Yeah, it's almost 3 o'clock, so I should go. But if there's any like last comment, otherwise, yeah, what's happening next? So I don't know how I'm gonna go live streaming, because as I said, it depends on who's around the house, how far we have to go. Like, you know, we don't know when the government's going to crack down and tell us all to stay home. Every day it's evolving. It's actually starting to get faster in terms of like what governments are doing, what they're telling us to do. So I can't tell you for sure when I'm going to live stream next. I should be able to edit some of those older videos, although there were a couple that I wanted to film extra stuff, so I've got to think about how to do that. I'm sure it was just stuff in the garden, so I should be okay. It's just, it feels weird filming when people are around. But we'll try our best. I should have the unboxing. I should have the cover. Then after that, yeah, I don't know. YouTube is going to be talking about hoarding. Oh, we already covered a bit of the hoarding stuff. So I won't be too repetitive because I do have to go, I think. The little dog's unhappy. I'm running out of battery. It's almost 3 o'clock and I've got other things to do. But yeah, no. So I guess like just rewind. If you want to see more of the conversation, I'm sorry I don't have time codes for stuff. If anyone wants to put in time codes, good, but yeah, no. 2 hours is a long time to watch just to get time codes. Yeah. So I don't know how YouTube's gonna go for the rest of the year. It's gonna be interesting, isn't it? And then, the rest of life. But I'll try and get online when I can. And maybe I just have to adapt. Maybe I just have to get used to having people around again. Like, back 10 years ago, I used to be able to vlog with like people walking past my room. Sometimes I get a bit quiet, but I definitely know that I was able to do it a lot more. So maybe I just need to get back to that state of accepting that I'm a nut job and that I sound weird talking to myself into the camera. We'll see how things go, but yeah, I'm gonna have to adapt how I do a lot of stuff. Anyway, I think that's all for now. We'll wrap it up. So thanks everyone for joining me. This seems to be a good time for everyone, so I guess I'll try and do more like this. Although if I do start filming stuff when people are around the house, maybe I can do more different times for those of you. I think those of you in Europe find it harder to tune in for this time. So yeah, maybe I'll look into doing something for you guys. Alright, I also need to go to the bathroom. So stay safe, everyone. Like, wash your hands. Like, whatever your government's saying to do follow their advice, but don't panic, because most of us will be fine. But also, don't be a dickhead. Like, don't intentionally cough on people, because, yeah, like, even though we'll be fine, that doesn't mean everyone else will be fine, and it's better not to spread that stuff. So be sensible. Don't panic. Just, like, yeah, do the basics. Wash your hands properly. Try not to touch your face when you're out in public. Like at home, I'm sure it's fine, especially if you're living alone, but or if no one's around. Fucking hay fever. Yeah, just be sensible. Don't panic. Most of us will be fine. I don't really have much else to say on that. And yeah, we'll try and do the best we can with YouTube. I will try and I've got some music I could try and release later in the year, maybe. We'll just see how things go. All right. See you guys later. Thanks for joining me, blah, 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 blah. And I'll figure out how I turn this off again. All right. I'm gone. See ya.